very much. Hey, there have been a lot of surprising moments, I got to tell you, as a leader of a great game of business companies, an open book management company. This would be one of them, by the way. It was just a few short years ago, actually, that I was sitting in the back of the room, that back corner right there, and I was trying to figure out whether or not a great game of business was going to be a management operating system that I could use to save and basically to protect my company, my ailing company. And or, on the other hand, it could be just, one of those management fads that you hear so much about and you see in the press, everybody's selling something at some point. I was trying to figure out what they're selling here. As you can tell, I bet on the game. I bet pretty hard and fast on the game, actually. We jumped in full bore, right? All straight into the deep end. We got a coach, Kevin Walters, who's back there. I'm a huge fan of coaching, and I'm a huge fan of Kevin's because of the turnaround that I saw in the company. What's happened has been simply breathtaking, and it's been so awesome. But as anybody will know, anybody can tell you that, do I have a clicker, by the way? Yep. Or go to the next. As anybody can tell you, in the past year, this is pretty tough. Business is pretty hard, and it's a full contact sport. So let's rewind a little bit to this past January when we were doing our high involvement planning process. And for those of you who are new, that's a word you hear a lot. It's a strategic planning tool. And the idea behind the high involvement planning process is the sales team goes out. I'm on the sales team, by the way. And we go out and, thank you, my brother. We go out and we survey the marketplace and we take a look at what's going on out there in the world. And we bring back what we think is going to be the revenue plan for the company, and we present that to the company, and then the company has the opportunity to what we call buy-in. And then buy-in basically means that we get feedback, we go through a process, we build a team, we build a plan together. One of the tools in that process is a survey, and the idea in the survey, it asks a simple question, scale of 1 to 10, blah, blah, blah. 10 is perfect. 7 is minimum acceptable, right? Below 7, you got real issues. 0, 1, of course, you don't want to go there. So here's our scores. I think everybody can see on the screen. Our scores came in at 5.6. In other words, fail, bad. We didn't have buy-in. We didn't have the basic things that we need. So full stop, right? No more anything. We're putting the brakes on everything in the company, and we're going to build a plan that we can all buy into. There was a lot of voices in the room. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of meetings and a lot of dialogue. Production brought what they could do. Sales revised. Everybody. We pulled together just barely, but we made our 7. So we built a plan that we could all get behind. That was really, really important for a lot of reasons. 2 things I think were essentially wrong with the plan, the 5.6 score. One of them was the sales team, meaning me, Greg Arsenal, who's here with us today, and some others. We were wildly overly optimistic. We were looking at the market, the analysis, the ITR reports and everything, and we were seeing a boom coming. We're like, this is going to be awesome. Well, the production people, the guys on the shop floor, men and women that actually build the product, were looking at me going, we don't have the tools we need. Even if you win that, and good luck winning it, by the way, but even if you win it, we can't build it. So that's a problem, right? But we came together, we did it, so we finally got to where we could go. Now, January, February, March. March timeframe, we do our people planning. People planning is a little bit of a similar process where individuals in the company get a chance to look forward to their personal career goals. Departments look forward to their staffing requirements, their skill requirements, and everything else. And we build a people plan for the year. One of the things that we build in that people plan is the payroll budget. It's the salary budget, right? And in that process, I happened to read an article that came through the Great Game of Business blog. And the article was titled, Why Isn't the Front Line Treated by the CEO? It's written by Jack Stack and Darren Dahl. It's actually an excerpt from their book, Change the Game. But in that story, there was a young manager, and his name is Tim. And he was faced with the question of raises. So what's Tim going to do with raises? And he pulled off a move I thought was really intriguing. He took that question and he gave it back to the team. And he asked the team, okay, what do you think we should do? I thought, man, that is genius. So I stole the idea. So Tim Stack, I think, is in the room. Thank you, and I apologize for stealing your idea. But I did. So I gave that question, what should we do with raises, to the ownership committees. We have two, to the management team, to the company. I gave it to the company. I said, how much money you want to make? Show me how. So in huddles, pre-huddles and stuff that look like a lot like, you know, a bunch of people kind of sitting around and talking, they kicked it around. There were a lot of proposals. One person came up with the idea of a 3% across the board, 2% merit raise. And I thought, that's a pretty good number. I like that. My number in my back of my head was 5%. I wanted it, and I told them I wanted a 5% raise. I thought that's what they earned. I thought that's what they deserved. I thought that made sense for a lot of reasons. And I let them know the reasons. One of the reasons in the back of my head is inflation is real. Whether or not you see it today, you're going to see it tomorrow, and we need to protect the families. The other reason is because we're going into a talent war. We have an extremely technical product. We're manufacturing. We're extremely hard to find people. Everybody always says, you know, you can't find people these days. And so I wanted to make sure we were in a recruiting position that was going to build a team for the next generation. That's pretty tough to do, right? The team came back with a number that frankly surprised me. It was the only number I didn't expect. It was the only number I couldn't support. They came back and they said 0. No raise. We don't want a raise. So that's pretty tough for me, right? I mean, from my point of view, right? One of which is, I know you shop at grocery stores. Like, what is that doing? Have you been to a gas station lately? What are you talking about? So I'm really worried about that, you know, and I'm one of the employees, by the way, so my dear Lori, who's watching me right now, actually, I got to go home and give her the same message. The other thing that's really bothering me is we're in a recruiting war. There's a company just down the street from us that hires from the same talent pool that we hire from, the same kinds of people, the same kinds of skills, and they've got a $3,500 signing bonus for entry-level employees banner across the front of the building. And we don't have anything. So, hey, we're in trouble. We're in trouble deep. So I'm kind of having those 2 a.m. moments, you know, like what are we gonna do with this? So I was really surprised, honored and grateful. I was really surprised to learn that we were selected to be part of this year's All-Star team. That meant a lot to me. Open book management and great game of business has become my professional passion. So having that accolade for me personally was hugely motivating. I think for the team, it speaks to what we were doing in the company. I thought it was really a high moment. And then a week later, we learned that we were selected as a best place to work in South Carolina. And I'm thinking, are you joking? We don't even raises this year. We don't have a sales plan. You know, I mean, we kind of built one over time, but we really don't have all the basic things I would think an all-star company should have. But there it was, right? Both of those accolades have something in common, I think, that really is what drives me and why I get up in the morning and why I obsess and walk around the house at 2 o'clock in the morning. Both of those accolades are about the team. Both of them involve surveys, data gathering, measuring, all those kinds of things from the shop floor, okay? Those aren't whether or not the CEO buys into the company. Those are whether or not the people buy into the company. And that's the real magic, right? They bought in. It was their company. So I want to talk for a few minutes about engagement. Employee engagement. And by the way, I am a huge fan of employee engagement. I truly believe that we are designed to find fulfillment from work. You should have a job that you love outside of the paycheck. That is a human right in my mind. But employee engagement is a worthy goal, and it's hard to get. It's like shooting for the moon. But we in this community, we have a little bit more available to us, let's say. We have a higher goal. Engagement is not your goal. Your goal is ownership. Employees should be engaged. Owners are engaged. The difference is everything, right? An employee is concerned about a raise. An owner is concerned about investments. An owner will make a sacrifice today to invest in the bank, to go further, to drive the company to a higher level. That is a critical difference between engagement, employee. So when we talk about, in the program, it says the title of the talk is in Beyond Employee Engagement. What I mean by Beyond Employee Engagement is ownership. And by the way, we're an ESOP. I'm a huge fan of ESOPs. There are many, some of our companies right outside the door will tell you a lot about ESOPs. ESOPs are very good. An ESOP is a piece of paper. I'm talking about ownership. Ownership is fundamentally different. Fundamentally different at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're walking around worried about whether or not your team is performing at the highest level, worried about whether or not your customers are getting what they need. That's ownership, and that's what I'm talking about. So legal ownership, I believe in. Psychological ownership. Okay, so shortly after all of these 2 a.m. moments with me, this shows up on the floor. That, my friends, is what in manufacturing we call a competitive differentiator. That's a $600,000 machine, ballpark numbers. That's a grinder that makes very, very small, extremely high precision metal parts. Scott Walters, who's watching us, Corey, who's in the back, Corey Redden and Jackie Lane and the other people on the shop floor, the team put together, and they decided that they were buying that. They walked away from a raise to buy that. Now, they're not playing with house money, right? This isn't the company money. They're playing with their own money. $600,000, they did not pay. They paid roughly half. That's slightly more than $300,000 for that. That's machine number 1. Machine number 2 is on order. Machine number 3 is stacked up, ready to go behind that, right? They're building a company. So here's an interesting thing. That machine requires an extremely high level of skill, experience, and knowledge to run. In Columbia, South Carolina, manufacturing is everywhere. You would say, that skill level, that person is rare as hen's teeth. How do you find the people to run it? Well, slightly embarrassing, but I have to confess, we have an abundance of people. We are very blessed in that we don't have any issues with our recruiting pipeline. Why, in this world where everybody talks about they can't hire people, there's a $3,500 signing bonus on our neighbor's door? Why? Because owners go home and they brag about their company. They're proud of what they have. They go to church, they go to the bar, they go to the grocery store, they go wherever they go, and they talk about how great the company is, how great their experience is, about what it means for their families. And winners, no winners. There you go. So let's talk for a second. The team, and we got all these people coming in. We got to, by the way, we still don't have raises. We have a kind of a little bit of a recruiting problem. Well, let's talk about the raises. So Pete Marriott, who's in the back here, and the ownership committee, put together this mini game. At AMBAC, this is the way we solve problems and we address opportunities, is through mini games. It's kind of what we do. This mini game is called Payday. There's 2 rules. Rule number 1, you can't hurt people. And rule number 2, you have to delight customers. It has to be good for the customers. The goal of the game is to go after whatever you can to save money and positively, recurringly, sustainably impact the income statement. What can you do to drive cash that's recurring and benefits the company? The money goes into a pot. The game has levels. I don't want to get too complicated. Right now, we are at level 1, which is a 3% across the board raise for everyone in the company. We are $400 away from level 2, which is a 4% raise. With time still on the clock, I think we're looking at max, I don't think it's out of reach, but it's not on the board yet, of a 5% across the board raise. Pretty darn good. Now, by the way, did you just see the hat trick that just happened, right? In the sales presentation, they identified issues, constraints. They went after them, they bought them, the machine, they figured out how to pay for it. They made a personal sacrifice to do so. And then they came back and put a mini game together that addressed the sacrifice. That's ownership. What happened to me? You know, I mean, you can tell I'm I take this stuff pretty serious. I can get pretty emotional about it. But what happened to me, there is no genius CEO in the corner office at AMBAC International, I can tell you, right? I met him. He's a bit of a dumpster fire on a good day. You know, this isn't great. But the ideas, the solutions and stuff come from the people, the power of the crowd, right? It comes up from them. It comes from the community, coaching, the blog posts, you in the room talking to each other, right? That's all. And it comes together and you build a company, right? So the other day I was talking, standing outside my office, you know, kind of wandering around and chatting with Heather. Heather Woodbury is our customer service inside salesperson. If you call the company, by the way, and order anything, it's very likely you're going to talk to Heather. She's usually the one answering the phone. And I would like you to do that. So if anybody, you know, on the break, maybe call Heather, order something. It would be really helpful. Anyway, she also leads our internal education. She leads the book club. And so she's a big part of creating the company, her company. So she says to me the other day, I'll just put it up on screen here, I'd rather have a great job than a raise. I mean, y'all, we'll get better, and we are getting better. And then one day, it'll be more than what I would have gotten today. That kind of set me back. But she wasn't done. So she says, because my long-term goal is to retire as a millionaire, and this is the best chance I've got. When I retire, I want to be able to get in my new car and drive all across the country and not even think about how much it costs. That is why I bet the company on what I found in this presentation in this room. And that is why I'm so passionate about it. So with that, all I have to say is we truly are better together. Thank you very much.